Jack Ebling here with Lindsay Huddleston at Breslin Center. It's another Press Pass preview, and just did a Press Pass taping.
Yes.
Team 327, and Michigan State did its job tonight. 33-point win over your Western Michigan Broncos.
My Broncos took a big loss tonight, but it was a hard-fought game as far as what Michigan State is trying to do and accomplish, and we saw pieces of that. Maybe we'll talk about that too.
Western had a lead in the first half, and Michigan State went on a 25-0 run to capture the Huddleston Trophy.
The great Huddleston Trophy.
And Michigan State leading 48-24, doubling them up at the half, led by as many as 44, and then some sloppiness at the end of the game, and gave Tom Izzo some coaching points.
Oh, totally did. He spent the greater part of his press conference talking about those last few minutes of the game. He wasn't as concerned about the shots that were taken. It was the effort. It was not getting back on defense. It was not stopping the guy on a breakaway dunk and things like that. He said it's going to be a bad day for the bigs in practice tomorrow.
Yeah, there were a couple of plays. One with Julius Randle where he dunked the ball. And
Julius
then
Marble,
Julius Marble, excuse me, Julius Marble. And dunked the ball and then went back down the court. Next thing you know, the guy's behind him for a dunk.
Hey,
that didn't go over well.
When I dunk the ball, I'm supposed to just enjoy myself and celebrate, right? That's
not at Michigan State.
Oh, it's Michigan State basketball.
Enjoyment comes from winning and doing things the right way. And so he'll hear about it. And so will a lot of the other bigs.
Sure.
But Tom isn't coaching for tonight and this game. He's coaching for next week.
Yeah, and I think that was very clear because despite the success they had against these MAC teams, Eastern Michigan and Western, like you say, this Big Ten is getting ready to start, and there's going to be some serious basketball being played during that time.
Michigan State beat Eastern by 53, beat Western by 33 this time without Cassius Winston. Bone bruise, held out as a precaution, should be fine for next week. But Rocket Watts back, did some good things. And 28 assists on 32 baskets. That is Michigan State basketball.
Right.
A lot of people like to see more one-on-one play. That's not what this program is all about.
Not at all. I mean, even at the latter part of the game with a great lead, you don't see bench players like Steven Izzo getting in to score points. It's all about keeping the continuity of the offense. And again, only someone like Coach Izzo and a few of those older guys know what's to come. And as we turn this corner to go into 2020, you got to be ready for some big-time play.
Well, they're going to need Cassius Winston back at his best. And they're going to need an alternate ball handler or two against the Illini pressure. Michigan State can turn the ball over 20-plus times against Illinois in its sleep, so it'll have to deal with that. Plus, Illinois has two of the best bigs in this league. Michigan State is a smaller team.
Correct.
And if X takes one, who takes the other?
You're right about that. And then you talk about smaller team and also the youthfulness. I mean, he's looking at so many young guys. He has to get out into the rotation. And if they haven't experienced this, you know, not just being on the stage at the Breslin, but just these competitive teams. And last year, the Illini, for example, really gave Michigan State a hard-fought game. And they had lottery picks on that team, even still. So they got to be ready when they come to town Thursday.
Foster Lawyer, big game tonight. 16 points, 6 assists, no turnovers. Only missed 2 shots, but he didn't play the defense Tom Izzo wanted and never will.
Yeah, there's always going to be a trade-off with that, but you think about you want to get someone in there, extra ball handler, 1 or maybe even 2, someone who's kind of coaching on the court, and that's another thing he talked about as well. Who's going to be the word that starts with the A and ends with the E and get after these guys? Who's going to step up and do that?
Right. Well, he can do it. We know that. But Lawyer had some help. Jack Hoiberg. 6 assists. Never saw that coming. That's a career high. And got 5 assists from Aaron Henry, 5 assists from Rocket Watts. So between those guys handling the ball at the guard position, you got 22 assists.
And even with Rocket Watts, Coach Izzo talked about this was the first time he's played in the 2 days of coming off of that injury. It's been a while, so for him to get out there and get some buckets, I think it's really good when you do get to clear the bench, not just for the fans, but to help people build that confidence. That's one thing they talked about with Foster Lawyer. You talked about his performance, but there's a noticeable improvement in his confidence, and that can help him go a long way as well as the team.
Aaron Henry, Xavier Tillman, efficient, 6 for 10, 6 for 8, a combined 12 for 18. That's 67% shooting. Each had 15 points. Tillman had 11 rebounds and 3 blocks, and that's not going to be good enough. When they look at the film, they'll find a lot of things he did not do in there. And one thing that Tom Izzo does better than any coach in the country is hold players accountable.
Yes. You're taking his talking points right in the context in which he spoke. He said his job as a coach is to hold the guys accountable. The job of his coaching staff is to hold the players accountable. And another example of that is Kyle Arns at the 12-10 mark. He was so excited that Kyle hit a big three. I said, was there a story behind that? He said the story was they've been talking about him shooting more. Yeah. And then also Coach Izzo not just saying it's okay when you miss, just having an expectation, like you say, that accountability.
And Foster Loyer, we know what an exceptional shooter he can be, Absolutely. What he was in high school, what he was last year in the Big Ten tournament against Ohio State.
Correct.
Tonight looked very comfortable. He's like 3 games in a row where he has been on top of it, and he said he's got his confidence back. Tom Izzo says it's not my job to give him confidence. It's my job to make sure he's doing all the things right he needs to do. But sometimes in this program, you don't want to ignore what Izzo's saying, but you want to turn the volume down a little bit.
Sure. I often tell the players when I talk to them in the practices that they're multilingual. They say, how is that? They speak English and they speak Izzo. So you're right. You have to be able to navigate the words that are coming out of Coach Izzo's mouth and not so much be taken by his passion and how he can be very over the top, but get the message and still be able to perform.
And Foster Loyer, Rocket Watts, Jack Hoiberg all talked about Cassius Winston, the assistant coach. Things that he was saying to them from the bench, things that he was seeing on the floor. He sees things before they actually happen. But on the bench, he have a timeout, stoppage and play, and he was actually calling some plays.
Well, Tom talked about he wanted Cassius sitting next to him in the second half. Yeah. So I think there's that symbiotic relationship where if Cassius is saying and sending the play in like the quarterback on the sideline, is going to be received a little differently, and it's going to be important because there are going to be times Cassius is going to have to make that play while on the court, and Izzo won't be the one to be able to get that message through.
When you start the season ranked number 1, everyone expects you to be perfect every game. Not going to happen with 18 to 22-year-olds.
Unfortunately.
Tom Izzo expects them to be better than perfect. That's possible. But for this team now, it really begins next week. The next 3 games in the Big Ten are all here.
Correct.
Which means 4 of the first 5 conference games are going to be at home. Eventually, you have to pay those back.
Right.
So you're going to have a lot of road games later on in the season. You need to hold serve at home.
Sure.
Michigan State, the only team that's won a conference road game. But we saw today, Ohio State, ranked number 2 in the country, lost at home to West Virginia. Indiana losing, it only lost 1 game. So there are losses to go around here. Louisville, which was the number 1 team in the country, lost again.
Correct.
So nobody's going to go through this 40-0.
Right. I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. What can you tell Michigan State Spartan faithful to expect over these next 3 games or just the course of this Big Ten season?
I hope that they can expect maximum effort and focus.
Maximum effort.
Whether shots go in, can't really talk about that. You don't know. Some days they do, some days they don't. But there are hustle things, there are intelligence things, the things that good teams do. And that's what Michigan State is going to have to do to be 2-0 next week.
Wow. Well, what will other people have to do to catch up with Press Pass later?
They can do that. They can see you.
Okay.
And Rico Beard.
Okay.
And Tom Crawford.
Yes.
And I was kind of the sandwich between you and Rico tonight on that show. Yeah.
That's good.
So looking forward to that. That'll be 11 o'clock on Fox 47 or stream, drivewithjack.com. You can catch it. Tomorrow it'll also be available, and it'll be tweeted out and put on Facebook and those kinds of things. So, but 11 o'clock tonight, if you can stay up and watch it, you'll get a lot of stuff on the college football playoff.
That's right.
Michigan State's bowl win, Michigan's bowl opportunity, the Big Ten, some success early on, all the college basketball you can handle.
Oh, wow.
And Detroit Lions, another close call, but again, they didn't get it done.
Yeah, understood.
They're done now, 3-12-1.
We can move on.
Finally. For Lindsay Huddleston, Jack Ebling, live from Breslin Center. Happy New Year, everyone.